Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today, we're going to work on what I call my Island in the Sun bonsai. This is a variegated Portulacaria Afra. Take it for a spin here, and I call it Island in the Sun. You can see this beautiful pot, which kind of reminds me of the ocean. And it's a small pot, it's kind of round, and it kind of looks to me like a tree you might see on, I don't know, Socotra Island or something. And honestly, the inspiration for the naming of this tree is there's a song, I'll put a link to it in the video details, Island in the Sun by Wheezer, which was probably the last CD I bought. Remember those CDs? Let's take a look at the base here. You can see the soil, it's really kind of a rocky soil. And I kind of take this wire off as well and just give it a general prune. That's the goal of the day. But anyway, this Island in the Sun song, it's just like a happy kind of southern California vibe song, and I really like it. We'll see what we'll restore the profile here. We've got some branches that have really lengthened out. This is a slow growing tree, but it does grow. And so I want to just shorten everything back and create some space in here so we can see some light. But yeah, enjoy that Weezer song. It's one of my favorites. I think it's just it reminds me of this tree and bonsai in general. It just kind of makes me happy and it's kind of laid back. Let's take a look at the origins of this tree. This is when I first got it. I bought it as a cutting off of I think eBay, and it came in. I mean, it had like just a eyelash of a root on it, and so I stuck it in this little black pot, which is basically a teacup, and I've started many trees in this now, and it's kind of deep, so I just water it all the time and don't worry about it. But it's worked well. But you can see here it really started from humble beginnings. Not a whole lot there. And this is before I even had my shelving system and decent indoor lighting. And so I don't have a ton of pictures of it, but let's look at the next picture as I had it sort of outside on a bench in the summer. And you can see it's filling out a bit, but this wire's been on it forever. You can see how loose it is here. So the tree is actually kind of expanded a bit. But yeah, it kind of looks like a slingshot and, not a lot of ramification. I think I've kept the primary branches on this, even that straight one out the back, and just developed new branches and, got division and compaction to get the tree to the state it is now. Yeah, you can see the front of this pot. It's a cute little pot, it's just one of these pots you drill a hole in the bottom of, or a saucer or something. And then the last picture here, it's a little more developed. And, this was over the course of, I think last summer and then this summer. So it's a slow grower, but you don't have to prune it as much and it looks good. So let's go back to the current day. And here we are. You can see that long shoot off to the right there. And like I said, it just needs a tune up, restore the profile, thin it out a bit. But I think it's, from what you've just seen, this is way more convincing, so it just takes time and pruning and care, and they really do come along quite nicely. So the first thing I want to do, let me get my wire cutters out here. I think this stuff on the base has been on long enough. I frequently do this where I have this wire. I come through the bottom of the pot and up, and especially with cuttings that don't have any roots, and I just kind of wrap it, not tightly, just kind of loosely around the tree, basically to hold it in the pot where I want it. You know, and then I just take it off over time. Now this one I've had, these are nice. So they won't cut the bark, so you can see, wouldn't cut my finger there. And so these are really nice for removing wire. I prefer to just cut the wire. I don't try to wrangle it off of there because I feel like you undo the whole point of the wire oftentimes. I mean, I see wire like breaks. It's expendable. It's just part of the cost of doing business with some of this stuff. And so I'm just gonna try to cut it right at the base, and I'll just leave it in there until I repot it. And I only use this on initial cuttings or trees that don't have roots. This thing no doubt has quite a few roots now, so when I do repot it, it'll have enough of a base, it'll stay in the pot, and I probably won't put additional wire in there. And yeah, but I think, yeah, it looks better without that artificial guy wire hanging on there. And yeah, you can see this root off to the right here. It's really thickened up. And when I repot it, I'll decide what to do with that. I don't know. There may be some nice stuff on the other side as well. Or, I don't mind having, it's sort of leaning to the left a little bit, so I can accentuate that and just go with this surface root if I decide to do that. But let's get to pruning. Let's start with this obvious one off here, and I'll just try to, get the profile back. This tree, it's sort of, I just want it to be, kind of a ball shape, but I want to thin it out a bit and, make it look a little less bushy and a little more like a tree. And we may flatten it out a bit. I don't know. We'll see as we go. So I'm just starting off by taking off stuff that is, um, eye-catching in a bad way. Like that's too long. This is sticking out of the profile. And, I really just try to take it down to a couple sets of leaves and create some space between the branches, so that everything isn't all jammed in there growing into its neighbors. And so that's really what I'm going for here, is to thin it out, and as part of that process get rid of unsightly stuff, because you obviously don't want that, and that'll encourage new beautiful growth. So I'd really classify this as a detailed pruning. This tree is about the size and the shape I want, so I just periodically come in here and thin it out and allow it to do more compact growth to fill in right where I want it. And I think it's quite charming. It's already got I think the pot's the right size. I think, I'm growing some additional lower branches down. I think I want a little more foliage down low in the tree, but I think it's got a good ratio proportion between, trunk. Like once I get, you can see a couple branches coming in lower down, and I think it'll be quite a charming little tree. Really like it. Like I said, it's slow growing, so I don't prune this one that often. I mean, most ports, many of my other varieties, I'm honestly pruning them I probably could prune them every month, um, but I tend to go a little bit longer. But this one, I think I'm lucky if I prune it twice a year. It is really a slow grower. Uh, but, if you get the shape right, that's kind of nice, because then you don't have to prune it much. You can sort of display it and, not worry about it. So I'm just continuing to really take these back to one or two sets of leaves. Um, and, we're kind of slowly getting there. I try to work harder on the top. Even though this is slow growing, it still tends to, anything that's closest to the light, and it sort of shades out other aspects of the tree. So, you want to go a little heavier on the top, because that will quickly uh, grow with enough vigor to take the branches completely out of balance, and you'll have these thick branches on the top of the tree and these thin spindly ones on the bottom, which is absolutely not what you want. When the tree's all filled in with foliage, you can't really see a lot of that, but I like to, when I do prune them, I take it down so I can see the branches, and so you want it to look good, and have good basic structure, and not rely on just profile pruning to give you an overall shape, like pruning it like a Christmas tree almost. But some people like that, and hey, whatever floats your boat. If that's how you like to prune your trees, that's fine. The nice thing about these is it's always salvageable, because they bud back so easily, and you can let it grow like crazy and then just cut it way back to nothing, um, and you know, it will readily kind of put out new growth for you, and then you can, regrow what you didn't like. So, whatever you want to do, it's your tree. I should mention a little bit about the pot. I never tire talking about these buns and pots. I think I don't know what it is about them. I really like Japanese pots. Like, it's a handmade pot, so each one's a little different. You have little imperfections in there, which I love. I think it really just complements most any tree, rather than having something that looked like it came out of a machine. And I like the crackle. I love his colors. They're typically, he kind of does bright colors as well, but also muted. Like this is kind of a very muted, I don't know, robin's egg blue, maybe you might call it. And I just find his pots really charming. I haven't found anywhere in the U.S. to get them, so I buy them on eBay, mostly from Japanese sellers. But there's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of Japanese pots out there now. Some of them are pretty pricey. These aren't too bad. I think this is taking shape. Look at that. Yeah, I think let me just take some of the leaves down here, but I feel like we're getting the profile in. It's got a few rough edges here. We'll keep working on it, but yeah, these pots I find just super charming, and not only Bunsen is the. I mean, I don't even actually know for sure, but I'm quite sure that's the the artist that makes these, and you can see them right away. There's just these simple pots, these oval pots. They all have this similar look, and yeah, so I think we're getting the profile down. But there's so many, especially if you like smaller pots, like for shohin, I guess you say, or even mame. Like, oh, it's hard to beat these Japanese pots. They're so charming. So I definitely recommend you check that out. Um, and see what you see. Maybe you'll like them as well. But I always find that I'm super charmed by those pots, and I think we're kind of getting close. I like to just keep turning it around on the turntable, and you sort of see like this is some stuff that's growing down and might be a little long. But you keep turning until you know you don't see anything you don't like, and then you're in pretty good shape. Um, but let me take another few spins around here. I'm gonna let that grow because I kind of want that lower one to come in a bit more and sort of come forward and fill in the space. But I think we're getting pretty close. That is quite charming. I can see the trunk, and I've really kind of opened the tree up a bit. Yeah, so let's take a look at it. Let's give it a spin here. And I think the thought for the day is, enjoy the present moment and the happiness of bonsai. It's much like an island in the sun when you're on vacation. To me, um, that's what the bonsai process gives me. These little mini vacations, and this tree reminds me of that. And so, be sure to enjoy yourself. And let's take a look at the top. I can see down through, which means the light will get down through and encourage even more compact growth further in. And take a look at the base, and I think that's pretty much a wrap today. I hope you enjoyed our little mini vacation on this island in the sun. And definitely check out that happy bouncy song if you haven't. It's quite charming. We'll take a closer look at the tree here. But yeah, it just lights up my brain with happiness. And with that, I want to thank you for spending time with me. And I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon.